there's some market segmentation in real estate brokerage markets. And so we can use this discussion to put into context the variety of available industry certifications and designations that are available across these market segments. So if you think about the market segments as broadly being residential and non-residential, then within residential, we have specialization in single families versus certain neighborhoods versus vacation homes and rental property. Then, well, I guess rental property would technically be the non-residential type. So on the non-residential side, the different types are retail, office, industrial, warehouse, and so on. But people may specialize on similarly certain areas, but maybe certain size, a certain type, a certain geography. And so if you think about those different markets, then some of the certifications or designations that go along with those markets on the residential side, obviously we have the realtor or realtor associate. And so they would be affiliated with a local Association of Realtors and then the National Association of Realtors. And then on the non-residential side, we have CCIM, which is the Certified Commercial Investment Members, and then SIOR, who focus on industrial and office space. Now, there are a few important anti-discrimination laws that can affect real estate services. So Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968 prohibits discrimination by race, color, religion, national origin, sex, familial status, and handicap. But I need you to understand what specifically or in what specific instances does this apply, or does this prevent us from discriminating? And so kind of how does this translate to real estate, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so that means that we can't refuse to rent or sell because of any of those characteristics. We can't offer different terms to one group versus another. We can't be selective in our advertising and kind of that's a tricky one because you can have a target market that you think that your property is most suitable for, but you can't specifically try to keep out any particular group. We can't deny home loans. We're talking about lending, real estate lending, or similarly, we can't deny real estate services in general. Now, also, and all of these are kind of I don't know, obvious or straightforward, but the key here is understanding almost more the types of discriminatory practices that have taken place in the past, because oftentimes we have legislation because we want to keep something from happening again. Other anti-discrimination laws, or other ways that anti-discrimination laws impact real estate, is that Title VIII exempted owner-occupants in 1 to 4 family residences. And in the case of Jones versus Mayer, 1968, they held that the Civil Rights Act of 1866, barring all racial discrimination, private as well as public, in the sale or rental of property, preempts the 1968 law. And then another exemption for discrimination is against familial status. So in multifamily residential facilities that are operated for elderly persons, and so those would be people age 62 or older, the owners can refuse to sell or rent to people that are under 62 or families that have children. Now, the federal and state fair housing laws apply equally to property owners and their agents. So, in other words, discrimination on any of these bases by anyone involved is prohibited unless covered by one of these exemptions that we've talked about. And I want to go back to something that was over here under Title 8 of 1968 is this notion of blockbusting. And so what blockbusting is when you try to persuade someone to sell their house by basically telling them something that's not true. And so we saw this when we had predominantly ethnic neighborhoods and maybe a group decided they didn't want that to be a black neighborhood or an Asian neighborhood or whatever it was. And so they were trying to break up the block and by trying to convince people to sell or to move. And so if it's a real estate agent or a real estate professional who is trying to convince someone of that or attempt this block busting, that is also illegal. So there's lots of growth in real estate brokerage, particularly internet marketing for commercial, residential, and international properties. So we see all these websites popping up. We've got Zillow and Realtor.com here, but there's also Trulia and others. So you might want to check these out. I know I give you assignments to kind of force you to see what is out there. Now, the real estate brokerage business is constantly undergoing change and innovation. So some examples of that innovation include buyer brokerage, unbundling of brokerage services, so just offering advertising versus document preparation and so on, discount brokerage, kind of similar to what we see on the financial services side, and electronic marketing.